the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty podcast with Borg, Betz, and a baller.
Welcome in. It's Wednesday, August 14th. We're here on the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty podcast. I'm your host, Copper Ganoni, and I'm joined by Jason Moore and Mike Wright once again.
Once again, we are back.
We are back, and Betz is still being lazy. Yeah, you think about that?
Yeah.
He needs to
Get
be
back to work.
dunked on right now because
For sure.
Because of the laziness?
That too. And if you're a new listener, Betz is one of the normal co-hosts, a part of this group, but he is in a state of, I don't even know what it is right now because he's 2.5 weeks in.
Fathering?
I don't know if he's doing that.
You think he's just he just called time off? You're like, guys, I'm having a new kid. I'm having my third child, so I need some time off. And he's just like fishing.
He's video gaming. He's fly fishing. He's
on the back
because
porch.
The thing is look, I've been Betz before. I started with twins like he did, right? And that's work. That's like you are doing every diaper. You're doing a diaper next to her, doing a diaper. You're doing a bottle next to her, doing a bottle. Now there's one. He's fly fishing, man. He needed 3 hours off. That's it. 3 hours. Get back in here. Get to work, Betz. But here we are being awesome, Mike.
Oh yeah, every day.
Oh, and me too. Right? No?
Yeah, I said
yeah.
Totally, man.
Yeah.
That was all of us.
We are in the throngs of things when it comes to the season of fantasy football. Like this week's episodes on the main show, it's like a banger day after day. I mean, we went through rankings. We have tips and tricks. We have my guys coming up. You guys are doing a live stream. You have a live show. It feels like every single day I look up and I go, oh, we have something else going on because the people need to be ready. And I had my own auction league this past weekend. I used the UDK, and but so did my fellow league mates. And
How long did that take?
The auction?
Yeah.
4 hours.
Oh,
Yeah, baby.
that's
a draft.
Dude, I love the concept, like the idea that I have access to whatever player I want, because the downside of the snake draft is if I have the pick 110, I know these players 100% without a doubt. They can't be on my team, and that sucks. That's a crappy way to start. But good Lord, 4 hours for one draft?
And we have somebody who is the auctioneer who's not part of the league. And
that's so nice.
Because Jason, I believe you did that one year.
I did. Yeah, we did an auction where I was both in the league and I was the auctioneer, and Jason
forgot to draft players.
Easily the worst draft I've ever had in my life. I was like, I can't concentrate on drafting.
Now, I know some people out there like, please give me Dynasty auction. No, we're not going to do that on this show. One, that would be, once again, a 5-hour podcast. That would take forever. But the format was awesome. I won't lie. I did get a little carried away with the Eagles wide receivers. I didn't tell you this, Jason, but might have ended up with both of them somehow.
Hey, you better have Jalen Hurts then. Are you telling me you got both?
You got Jalen Hurts, right?
Are you telling me that you got
both
Hurts,
right?
Eagles wide receivers but you have Hurts?
But do you have Dallas Goedert?
No. I've made some trades since. Let's just say it got away from me. I was trying to bid up, and I got both. But
do you have Jalen Hurts or
no, not at all.
Okay,
Right.
That's how you don't stack.
Yeah, not so great. But yeah, we're getting you ready for your drafts. We got so many things coming up on this episode. We're going to be talking preseason risers and fallers, just some of our main takeaways from week 1, which it's easy to overreact. It's easy to look at snap counts and say, this guy played 5 snaps. What can I deduce from this player playing 5 snaps? They weren't targeted. It's like Marvin Harrison Jr. You can't really deduce anything other than he's a starter. Right?
Sometimes that's all you need.
I needed that confidence boost with Marv just to know.
I'm not talking about him, but there's other players out there where you went, oh, that guy rested with the starters. That's interesting.
Yeah, so we'll go through some of our biggest takeaways. I did want to hit you boys with a quick question of right now we're getting excited. We're having a rookie fever episode coming up in a couple weeks where we talk about how excited we are to see these rookies, but there's a lot of veterans that are fighting off competition They're fighting off aged outs, and in dynasty circles, they're players that people would have said, sell this guy, he's on a new team. But give me a veteran that's kind of just taken all the haters and said, you know what, I'm still relevant for fantasy football. So, Jason, you have one that I wrote off at the beginning of the offseason. And
I'm writing him off. When I read this quick question, I saw it as name a veteran who is fighting off competition and aged outs, as in, like, he's got to deal with that. This is what
That's how I read it too, James.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I'll fight you guys.
You're answering this question wrong, Kyle.
So for me, the guy who's having to deal with aged outs and fighting off competitions, that's Stefon Diggs. You've got what I believe right now today is two more talented wide receivers than him. I think that the 30-year-old version of Stefon Diggs is great. He's a really good wide receiver. He is not his best, obviously. That's going to be, 27-year-old Stefon Diggs. And I think that the current Nico Collins and Tank Dell are better, more explosive wide receivers who have more rapport with the quarterback, more time under this offensive system. And so there's a lot of question marks for me with Stefon Diggs. He is fighting off competition, and, we've got the metrics of, like, obviously a totally different team, but with the Bills, when he was in 3 wide receiver sets, 21, 22, 23, all of these years, he was not good in 3 wide receiver sets. His yards per route run were 1.8, which is terrible, 1.6. In 2022, it was okay. It was okay. But you look at when he's on the field in 2 wide receiver sets, and he's awesome. He's Stefon Diggs. Well, that's not going to be as prevalent. He will still be on the field in 2 wide receiver sets, I believe, for the Texans. But I don't think that will be as prevalent as it was for the Bills. And obviously he's not getting any younger. So these are just aged outs for me where I find myself really excited. And obviously for a dynasty league, I am 100% in on Nico and Tank Dell. And I feel like I'm 85% out on Diggs.
Let me ask this question, because we kind of suggested that he could end up being a slot wide receiver. At this point in his career, it's different than the downfield threat he was in Minnesota. And so we did see that 3 out of the 4 plays in 11 personnel, he was the slot wide receiver. So that can kind of prolong his career. But for fantasy, I think he might be seeing less valuable targets. I mean, his yards per out run last year in the slot was 1.22. It wasn't good. So but the other thing is he did stay in on 12 personnel. So are you at all worried about Tank not getting as many snaps as we hope? Because I want Tank to be on the field. I think he should be on the field. But Diggs is kind of a alpha personality.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to have different games where one of these 3 guys disappears at random. It's not going to be a perfect – Nico's going to be awesome, and Tank Dell's going to be awesome, and neither one of them are going to be great every single week. It's just impossible with this type of offense. They're going to be great the majority of time, I hope. And, yeah, I do think you're going to see, like you saw in preseason, Tank Dell played fewer snaps, ran fewer routes than either of these other guys. Also would have been the most valuable for fantasy because he had a touchdown. So, yeah, I would I'm not worried.
Okay. As a Diggs dynasty manager, I'm holding on hope that he is still relevant, top 20-ish. But everything I've done in the research, everything we've talked about says, like, okay, I should be moving on in my mind, thinking that he's going to be anything special.
With the utilization of the very, 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 very small sample. Very small sample.
It's so small.
But honestly, that was, I think, optimistic for Diggs. The true fear was that when there's only 2 wide out there, it's Nico and Tank. I'm talking about the fear for Stefon Diggs,
right? And
that he is just the slot wide receiver. If he's playing outside in 12 and then goes to the slot in 11, it doesn't bother me. Like that raises the floor up for Stefon Diggs, which I've basically been. We're a dynasty show here, but in redraft, I've been out on his ADP. But if I have him in dynasty, I'm encouraged by that alignment.
What is the dynasty outlook, do you think, for Diggs beyond this year? Right, he's a completely unrestricted free agent. Obviously, in a team like this, there would never be a franchise. So he's probably going to be chasing money,
yes,
I would think, at this point in his career, which most likely won't be the Texans.
I think he'll be chasing he'll go title chasing.
Okay, but my point is, do you think he goes to the Texans? Do you think he hits the open market? And is there value beyond this year that could be really good for Stefon Diggs for fantasy?
Go ahead, Kyle.
I was just going to say there's a couple of routes when you get to this age of like you can still be valuable for an NFL team, but maybe not. So like, does he go somewhere like Thielen, where Thielen's like, whoa, he got a ton of guaranteed money, and he still had he's going to have 2 years of at least being relevant for NFL purposes. Saw a ton of targets last year. Like that's kind of the best case scenario I see beyond this year. And therefore, if I tried to acquire him, I wouldn't throw out anything more than a second. I think that's just like where I'm drawing the line. If he's great, he hits, you get another year, that's fine. But like name value alone, people are going to want more than just a second.
Yeah, probably.
I think as a manager, I wouldn't trade him away for a second right now.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't trade him away for that either.
Jason?
Yeah, I guess not. That was really close. I'm thinking, can I get something for him? Obviously, not all seconds are the same.
Right.
I mean, if you're trading for the second-round pick from the worst team in the league, then great. But more than likely, if someone's trying to get Diggs, they're not a youthful rebuilding team. So, yeah, a second probably doesn't work.
All right, Mike, give us a takeaway for you, which I feel like we've been through this before, this story.
We have.
And before.
Yes.
And before. Because
this man just gets veteran love. It is Zach Ertz,
Veteran love.
tight end for the Washington Manders, who hilariously has kept really good tight ends off the field. It started in Philadelphia when second-round Dallas Goedert, we couldn't unleash him because you got to keep throwing to Zach Ertz so he can fall down immediately. Then it was Trey McBride in Arizona. And now, unfortunately, it probably is Ben Sinnott.
And he was fully ahead of McBride. Like, he wasn't
Zach
like
Ertz?
Yeah, Zach
Yeah.
Ertz. It wasn't like, oh, he's capping his upside. No, it was like, Trey McBride, someday you'll get to play. This is Zach Ertz's role.
Which, we can look at it glass half full. He played in front of Dallas Goedert, and then once Dallas Goedert was unleashed, we had a few years of like, this is a really good player. You know, I think other circumstances stopped us from getting the true elite Dallas Goedert. It looks like Trey McBride now that Zach Ertz. So I mean, it's almost like the blessing. Once he passes,
he's a nurturing guy.
Yeah, once he passes the torch, then the backup truly thrives. But it stinks for this year to know that to see the one highlight play that Ben Sinnott put out there, which it was against lower competition. But it was
what he does.
Awesome. Yeah, it was
I am the Senate.
Thank you. The senator just dragging bodies down the field because that is a beast of a man.
He is strong.
And you're like, that's exactly what I saw from his college tape. It's going to take some time because it's going to be Zach Ertz. Cliff Kingsbury just there's a lot of things that Cliff Kingsbury loves. One is when you're on the goal line or inside the 5, you just run it up the middle infinitely until either you score a touchdown or you kick a field goal. And also Zach Ertz just seeing way too much playing time for your offense.
I wonder, just you guys are more familiar with Cliff, the way he runs his offenses.
Poorly.
They ran fast in terms of like pace. I can at least
Yes.
like lean into that. We like the quarterback. We like Jaden Daniels. John Bates was also getting a lot of snaps with the first team at tight end. So it's like, is it just one of those things where he just has over the years just leaned into the veterans? I mean,
yeah, I think a little bit. And Washington had tweeted Ertz wasn't even going to play.
Right. I saw that.
And then I guess he did. It was a weird situation, but he will be. Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch the John Bates thing. But Ben said it's time. It's coming, but it may not be this year. If we get halfway through the year, oh man, I will be pantsless in the streets.
Yeah, I mean it'll probably be next year, but that's so normal for tight ends.
Yep,
I mean this last year was very different than the usual expectation from the dynasty life cycle of a rookie tight end. But I mean, you look at Trey McBride, Trey McBride did nothing his first year and then people left him for dead. It's like, this is the expectation.
Yes.
This isn't – you shouldn't be leaving him for dead. You shouldn't be drafting him for his rookie year. You should be drafting him for the next year. But looking at last year, I wanted to see how accurate I was that Zach Ertz completely – like the first 5 weeks of Trey McBride last year, the same Trey McBride who was unbelievably awesome, athletic, superstar, dominated down the stretch. That same season,
yes,
the first 5 weeks he would have been a 17-game pace of 250 yards.
For Ertz?
No, for McBride.
Oh, yes.
Can't get that guy on the field
because
of Zach Ertz.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah. There's Washington will be a fascinating team, and I won't even go into it, but I started doing a deep dive because Jahan Dotson was playing in the slot. And
Jahan Dotson was last year was just so catastrophic that it's hard to even mention it, but for a 1 week tiny sample size, if this is what they're going to do, if they're showing us a little glimpse of it, that was a big win for Dotson.
And we know that he's got his cardio in. I mean, he did the entire last year, just running out on the field. I think it was 5th most routes. I wanted to throw out Josh Jacobs because I'm at a crossroad where I feel like I should look at everything that we've looked at in the offseason and say, okay, efficiency-wise, he's going in the wrong direction. He's done. But then it feels like everything's kind of going his way. Marshawn Lloyd's hamstring injury. On the first drive, it was Josh Jacobs. It's only 3 snaps, but it seems like things are trending in the right direction for Josh Jacobs, a player
A.J.
that
Dillon got snaps.
That's even better.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's a positive thing for Josh Jacobs these days.
And Marshawn Lloyd was putting the ball on the ground in practices, which was his biggest knock as a prospect coming out, plus now injured. I've been anti-Josh Jacobs this entire offseason, and I agree with you, Kyle. Like I hope this isn't Javonte from last year. Out the whole – I'm just out. Or actually Dameon Pierce.
Yes.
Dameon Pierce, I spent all last year.
Yes.
All last offseason just talking about this guy is not going to work. This doesn't happen. It's not – I was completely anti-Dameon Pierce. And then, man, the preseason rolls around. Preseason got me, and I'm like, okay, maybe I was wrong. I'll take the L. He's going to be good. And that's what I'm doing on Josh Jacobs right now. I'm like, no, he's going to – things are set up. Are you trying to get me to Dameon Pierce right now? Kyle, you trying to get me to make a mistake and be in on Josh Jacobs?
The last person I would ever bring up for you to like is Dameon Pierce. So, no, not at all.
Okay, all right.
But
you're saying I should like Josh Jacobs? I
think there's a lot to like if I'm just buying into an offense, okay, we're not even looking at players, efficiency, all those things that we care about, but it's like 6th in yards per play, 8th in points per game, and 2nd in red zone plays per game. And this team had 4 rushing touchdowns from their running backs. That's just not repeatable. Also, he's also due, I don't know if you guys know, but he's due to catch a receiving touchdown because he's never done it in his career.
Really?
Yes.
What?
Here's the stat.
Wait. You're not talking about Josh Jacobs.
I'm talking about Josh Jacobs.
I tuned out. Who did you you did not talk about a guy who has played that much football and scored that many touchdowns.
And caught that many passes.
And led the league in rushing, has never scored a receiving touchdown?
Yes, I'll give you the thread for you. You can look him up on our site, but he has never caught a receiving touchdown.
197 receptions. What? Nearly 1,500 receiving yards and no receiving touchdowns.
That's impossible.
All right, let me give you the stat because he needs to catch 5 more receptions without a touchdown. He would sit number 1 all time for players without a receiving touchdown. And just to give you context, in that span, 610 different players have caught a touchdown, including 12 offensive linemen, 7 quarterbacks, 3 linebackers, 3 defensive linemen, 2 defensive backs, and Jason Sanders, a kicker. So this man's due for some touchdowns.
Overdue.
I think he's due to not.
Right.
I got real curious.
Maybe it's his thing. Maybe he doesn't like it.
I got real curious because I was like, he must have gotten close, and there's like maybe 2 or 3. One of them got called back. It was.
Oh, he had one? It's like, that's Josh Jacobs. Flag. He's not allowed to do that.
So I just think.
That's an incredible find there, Kyle.
Well, I just was looking at his stats. I was like, how is this possible? Jaylen Warren also has yet to catch a receiving touchdown somehow, some way in his career. So there's a lot of players like this that I think in Dynasty it's easy to write off, look at age cliffs. Like I look at all of our age cliff stuff and go, Cool. Don't care. And Josh Jacobs might be the one to punch me in the face. So would you would you trade a first for Josh Jacobs? A late first?
No.
All right, Jason, it's week 8. You're trending towards the playoffs. And
how's Josh Jacobs doing? Because definitely if he's looking great, I mean, at week 8.
This is a dumb game.
It's like, come on, man.
He's the RB 14.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm on a championship run and I can get a top 15 running back, yeah. And if he's the RB 14 already, he'll play more because what is he? He's 26 and a half years old, I think, right now.
He's pretty young for coming into the league. I can look it up, but I think that's what it's going to cost you. Either right now you jump in and say, I'm going to give a first and hope, or his price only goes up from here. So at the end of the day, you got to kind of figure out with him, like, call your shot. The same thing with like Dave Montgomery or James Conner, older running backs. Are you going to trade a first for those guys? Dave Montgomery, probably yes right now.
Yeah, you're not going to pull that trade off, though, just where we are with the alert for Gibbs. Before the season, Montgomery, I'm okay with that one. Connor, before season, no, I wouldn't send a first. There's, as much as my belief is in James Conner of looking like he's actually an outlier running back for longevity, things could still go very wrong for him, and some things could go wrong for my team. So no, I wouldn't do that right now.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, we're about to hop in and look at our biggest preseason risers and fallers, so let's go for it.
Preseason Power Up.
So we don't want to overreact to some small sample sizes, and I went back in our doc last year.
But we're going to. No, I'm kidding. We would never.
I think, so looking back last year, we did temper expectations, but we did bring up Javonte Williams. We did bring up Dameon Pierce and just said, this is what happened, and let's figure it out. Like, I don't know, is there any like bad feelings from us like doing that exercise and then a year later be like, we're doing this again?
No, but speaking of that, the guy I want to talk about is Javonte Williams, Denver's running back, who is now 24.
Wait, are we going to do it again with the same dude?
We are 100% doing this again, and I'm bringing this up more of I'm terrified that we are just, the history is fully repeating itself, but I as someone who studies fantasy football, Javonte needs to be talked about because he is now so much of the year after the ACL. Look, it takes time to recover from an injury. Is he fully recovered? I don't know. I went and watched every Javonte snap from this game because Javonte was the main guy, and that has been all report coming out of Denver. Not other media sites like Javonte might get cut. Is it Estime? Is it McLaughlin? All of these, clickbait types of things. Meanwhile, the beat reporters in Denver are saying Javonte's the RB1 and it's not even close. And that's what it was for their first preseason game. So just where are we with Javonte for this year? Because he's still a young running back. Unfortunately, you kind of have to go back to what did you think about him as a prospect? Because it's year 4 for Javonte, right? Because he's in the final year?
Correct.
So we still haven't really seen what a good, healthy Javonte Williams looks like. You saw a couple of games 2 years ago with it, and then he was hurt, and then he looked bad all of last year despite getting all the work. Samaje Perine came in and looked bumbling and fumbling and can't catch a ball. McLaughlin and Estime, at least preseason usage, were so far behind Javonte Williams. So it's just where are you guys? Because I'm bringing this to the jury because I don't know how to feel. The ADP in redraft for Javonte is not bad. So just, are you in, or you still feel like this is history repeating itself? Where are you at?
I have said I'm trying to stick to my guns on this. I said earlier in the offseason that there's only two outcomes for Javonte. Either he is going to look exactly like his old self, and his old self was special. Was like
yes,
you watched him every single play. He's getting extra yards. He's making plays that other people can't make. He's overcoming bad offensive line play or bad offensive play, and you go, this guy is going to be a special fantasy football difference maker. Either that's what he is because he's 2 years recovered from the injury and so he's back fully, or he is who he was last year. Last year he had a ton of volume, tons. He caught the ball. He got the ball on first and second down. He had enough volume to be relevant for fantasy, and he wasn't. He's on a bad offense with a bad offensive line, going to be a rookie quarterback. So unless I see truly special, I don't care if he's the one. I expect him to be the one. I have him statted to be the one, and I have not yet. Like when I was watching preseason and I watched him run, I really wanted to, man. There was one run where I was like, oh, he looked fast there, okay. But that's not what old Javonte was. Old Javonte was every single play. He's just better.
That's how I felt watching him too. When I watched all the snaps, I went, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if it's then I don't want in this offense. So I'm not going to do to Javonte what we did to Javonte last year and just believe simply because he's the starter, which we already presumed he was. So I'll go next. And the reason I want to go next is because I think last year we had the hopeful hype of guys we were down on where the preseason rolls around and you go, oh, okay. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to look at something that I thought was a negative and something that was maybe even a little surprising to me, which was the snap counts and the routes run of the Bears wide receiver core. You didn't know necessarily, Keenan is the slot guy, right? But in two
Big
wide
slot.
receiver,
Big
big
slot
slot, a huge slot.
Oh no!
I know. So we talked about on the main show this morning or yesterday that looks like Keenan's
reports.
Report. Yeah. Report.
Allegedly.
This is not us.
No.
Oh,
We're
I'm
just simply
fighting against this so much. When I saw this blurb, I go, not my man. Not
I know.
now.
No one on the planet loves Keenan Allen more than Kyle. But Kyle was, or Keenan was supposed to be the gigantic slot. And in two wide receiver sets in the preseason, he was on the field. Odunze was off the field. And he ran more routes than anyone. And I really I thought that there was a good chance, and obviously week one in the preseason, but where it would be maybe Odunze and DJ Moore in the get the two big boys out there. Of course, now who's the biggest boy? I guess that's Keenan.
Leave Keenan alone.
But I guess it was just surprising to me the utilization of Keenan, which to my eyes looked even above DJ Moore. Not that he would be the wide receiver one for this team for fantasy by any means, but that he might be the number one target. If he is the number,
that's how I felt it would be the whole time.
And this kind of confirms that if he is the number one target for this offense, it is just so straight bad for everyone's fantasy football because I still don't believe in the offensive system for the utilization of a Keenan Allen type. We've talked about that with Shane Waldron coming over from Seattle and the way that JSN was misused last year. And then DJ Moore, I think because of his explosive athleticism, he's the only shot in this offense during rookie year Caleb and rookie year Odunze to have massive success, because if he leads in targets and he's got that explosive athleticism, he could take off and be valuable for fantasy. But now it's like if he's the number two target, even if maybe some of his are downfield and more valuable, I think it'll be a bumpy ride. So I am finding myself less and less bullish on the wide receivers. And then obviously from a dynasty perspective, you go, Odunze is going to be fine, right? Keenan's on a 1-year deal. He'll be an unrestricted free agent, probably leave. But, man, we said a lot of those things about JSN. Like Tyler Lockett's so old, he might get caught. He might
Not
just be
as
there
fat,
this year.
though.
And then he got a new contract. So it's like you don't want to – like you might say, well, I'm taking a long-term dynasty perspective on Odunze. Great. I don't blame you. That's how we should look. However, that doesn't mean that we're not aware that it is worse to be third in the pecking order. It is worse to be off of the field. Like, that's not good for his dynasty value. So, yeah, I was a little even though Caleb looked awesome.
He did.
And in the end, the quality of these wide receivers in fantasy is going to come down to, is Caleb awesome? So you could take it as a positive or a negative. I took it as a negative.
Did you see enough of Caleb Williams to be more confident in him as a rookie, specifically for fantasy? Because he has been he's a rookie wide receiver who is being in redraft taken as a top 12 guy. So the expectations for him are perform immediately.
Right. I mean, I bumped him up a little bit, but I still don't have him where ADP is. Yeah, it's one of those. I don't think I saw. I liked that he scrambled. He's on the move more because I do think he has the wheels to be someone that rookie year could go out and put up 350 yards on the ground. If he does that, oh heck yeah, baby.
Sure.
And that was nice to see some of his moving around.
In a dynasty perspective, the teams that took him, right, like in a Superflex league, they took him in the top, 2 to 3 picks, wherever. Those teams are counting on him to be essentially their quarterback 1 or a high-end quarterback 2. And I think you're in a spot where you can get top 15 numbers and feel pretty good about that with upside of what's the highest he could finish this year?
Caleb?
Yeah. I think he could finish QB 7.
Yeah, I was going to say 6. 6, 7, 8.
There you go.
6 would be a sensation.
6 would be awesome. What was Herbert rookie year? I think he was 5.
He was awesome.
Or was he lower than that? Was he like 10?
The great year was year 2. But
yes,
so
he was number 2 in year 2, I think.
Year 1 was QB 9, but in 15 games. He was at 22.2 points per game in a 4-point, and then his QB 2 finish was 22.4. So he was on pace. It was excellent, and he had svelte Keenan.
Interesting. Yeah, they both have Keenan now. It's just,
which one?
But Caleb has even more Keenan, and so that's pretty.
There's
cool.
always room for more Keenan, guys. Come on. So the thing about these 3 wide receivers,
it's fun to make fat jokes about not myself.
It's weird too for a player that none of us have ever thought about being fat ever.
Never. He's not even a big. I don't see him as a big wide receiver. I know he's 6'2", so he is.
Do
But
we even know that's what they mean? Did he just get super yoked and it slowed him down?
See, I think it was a typo, but apparently he's bigger than Kelvin Benjamin now. That's where this is heading. Is that this guy's going to be 280 and just lumbering down the field. But it gets open in zone. That's the best part. Just a huge target. No, the 3 wide receivers, we know what they're good at, right? Like DJ Moore just got a ton of money, but can kill man coverage and one-on-one and yak stuff. We know that Keenan's good in zone, and he's going to be lined up a ton in the slot. And then Odunze, historically, when he was in college, is go balls, and that's what Caleb can keep plays alive. So I think there is going to be room for him to have splash plays when it comes to Odunze. I just think you're still going to be waiting. Like in a league where you were starting 2 flexes, 2 wide receivers and 2 flex, are you going to be confident to start him in that second flex spot?
Odunze?
Yeah. That it's going to be a weekly guessing game.
I won't be.
Yeah. It would take DJ Moore, Keenan to be off the field.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see if there's injury or anything else. But the deep catches, the contested catch year to year, I mean, that changes. Even for players like DK Metcalf, it's like 1 year, what was it, 2022, he was second in the league in contested catches. And then last year, his catch rate was only 29% on them. It's just going to fluctuate. And I think that's what you're going to get with the Odunze. I wanted to bring up, speaking of wide receivers, there's kind of been a trend this preseason and really over the last couple years of getting taller players into the slot, taller wide receivers. And so this caught my attention when we were looking at Adonai Mitchell and how with Josh Downs hurt, AD Mitchell is getting some more run in the slot. And I think this is the best case scenario for him to make an impact in year 1 because he was running behind Alec Pierce on outside stuff, and now you get to move him in there. The Eagles are also kind of experimenting with this with Johnny Wilson. It's like, let's just get a tall dude. He's not that fast, but he's athletic. And so I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on Mitchell. I know, Jason, you and Andy have this, what's the best word to put this in? Rivalry? Feud?
Disagreement?
Yeah, disagreement.
I mean, Andy believes Adonai Mitchell was elite, was really, really good. I was not as bullish on him. I thought he took plays off and had flash. If you just looked at highlights, he was good. But if you look at full games, it's like, what? He's just disappearing. He's got talent, but whether he can put it together. So that's the disagreement. Obviously, the NFL kind of met us in the middle.
Yes.
I was adamant that he was not a first-round talent, and he didn't go in the first round. But obviously, I like Troy Franklin, who fell to the fourth. So I got dunked on in the NFL draft while Adonai Mitchell is now a starter. Granted, it took an injury ahead of him. I do think this is his best course. Him being in the slot is great news. It's going to put him on the field as a rookie. It's wonderful for him. But it is a little bit telling, though, and I think surprising, although we can't overreact because we see all the time that veterans have to, veterans have it and the rooks have to earn it. But I was surprised he couldn't beat Alec Pierce. It was like when he was on the outside.
It's
Josh
just
Downs
cardiovascular shape, man.
But Josh Downs was, you want to talk about a guy who doesn't take a playoff? Yeah. Alec Pierce, literally. He never gets a playoff. But it was one of those things where it's like I expected Adonai Mitchell when he went to the Colts. My thought was like, I know I didn't love this guy, but it's probably a really good landing spot because the only guy he has to beat is Alec Pierce, and he's better than Alec Pierce. And then he didn't beat Alec Pierce, but Josh Downs got injured. So, so long as you're on the field, you get your opportunity to show your talent. And he's also 1 foot taller than Josh Downs. So that makes, a much easier target for an inaccurate Anthony Richardson. Also, he is not 1 foot taller. This was hyperbole.
It feels that way. I did do a little research on tall wide receivers in the slot and just kind of figuring out, has the NFL changed? Because like the slot wide receiver we played with in fantasy football 5 years ago was, I don't know, Jamison Crowder. It's like that is a slot wide receiver. They're small. This is what they do. Last
Hunter
year,
Renfrow, Julian Edelman, just the little fidgety guys.
Yeah, you don't have you can't play outside.
Welker.
The outside that's where grown men play.
Right.
And you don't fit into that mold, so we can't possibly put you there. You have to be in the slot.
Of the top 20 pass catchers last year in terms of slot fantasy points. So they scored the top 20 in slot fantasy points. Over half of them were 6'2" or taller last year, which surprised me when I look at, and Chris Godwin's right there at 6'1", 6'2", if you want to count him in there. But like the short guys, Amon-Ra, still 6 foot, so he's not like tiny. Jaden Reed is kind of a rocked up 5'11", like he's good. And then you get Khalil Shakir, Devonta Smith, who is 6 foot, but a stream being. Tyreek Hill, who doesn't count in any metric. It's like...
Yeah, you can't. Tyreek Hill should not be in any sample.
Yes.
Of anything
ever.
Of anything,
because it will break it.
Not weight, not height, not a position that you line up in, nothing.
No, he's out. He's removed.
But what I'm finding is that teams want more layup targets in zone for these guys like CeeDee Lamb. It's kind of like a couple years ago. You remember when the Falcons did that with Julio, or the Packers did it with Devontae?
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is our best player. Let's put him in motion. Let's put him in the slot and in the red zone. They were awesome. So you're kind of seeing this trend in the NFL of them putting taller receivers. That's like why Kyle Pitts is so intriguing, because he's not really a tight end. He's kind of just a tall slot wide receiver. So I'm curious.
What's funny is when I look at this list, I can see the whole list that you put together here in our show doc, and it's very, very interesting. And when you get to the first like short guy, that's Josh Downs from last year. Josh Downs is in that list at 5'10", which he's 5'9". Give me a break. There's no way Josh Downs is 5'10".
Why is Josh Downs getting all these strays here?
Those aren't strays; those are facts. I'm not. He didn't grow.
We can all tell facts about each other that are
okay.
mean.
Jason, on our site he is 5'9", and on a couple others he's 5'10". He doesn't even know.
Our site is right. But my point here is that his utilization was very good in the slot for this Shane Steichen offense. So Adonai Mitchell is very, very interesting now that he's got that role. What is I can't remember off the top of my head. Josh Downs, what is he dealing with? What's the long-term
I thought it was an ankle
prognosis? I mean, this is not something
High
that's going to be like a season-long issue. Josh Downs will take this role back.
Correct.
But it was a high ankle sprain a week ago that was expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, so he'll miss the beginning of the season, but a couple weeks in he'll come back.
But
or Adonai Mitchell hits the ground running. Like, this is a situation where I think Mitchell can just steal the job.
Oh, I mean, I believe that Adonai can prove that he needs to be on the field, and then Josh Downs would go to the slot, or it would, at the very least, whoever's in the slot, Downs would play over Alec Pierce. Adonai could stay on the field, but I don't think it's one of those things where Josh Downs is going to come back and stay on the bench.
It'll be interesting with Shane Steichen. I went back, and we've kind of gotten to do this with Anthony Richardson. If you're looking at that offense, you're like, okay, we have a template. We've seen Shane Steichen with a mobile quarterback. We saw it with Jalen Hurts with not a ton of passing volume. He was awesome for fantasy. To the slot, they never really had that guy in Philadelphia. It was like Quez Watkins just running a bunch of routes. It didn't really matter. But Devonta Smith was really good when he was in the slot. So I just don't know if at the end of the day, if it's Josh Downs, is he going to be valuable at all for fantasy? Like I want it to be Adonai Mitchell, but I'm also willing to just let go and say, at the end of the day, maybe he's just not a thing. Maybe it's just meeting you and Andy right in the middle, and he's kind of good, but not really that great. So
kind of like in college. All right.
Yep.
All right. You want to bring your next topic up, Mike?
After a quick break.
Let's do it.
All right. Second thing I want to talk about. Look, it is nasty boy season. Some say it's the best season. Last week, we brought up some nasty boys of summer, and this was a player I don't think I could bring him up last week because it just wasn't. You weren't super sure on what's going to happen. Again, we're not 100% confident on things, but Colby Parkinson is the tight end for the Los Angeles Rams, and if their week 1 preseason is anything to be, it's Colby Parkinson is the starting tight end, and the contract would back that up. It was a strange thing when it happened that he was a player who seemingly has no production and yet got paid like he is a player with production, and I want to bring him up in just that. Like, this is waiver wire fodder. He might still be on waiver wires out there in certain dynasty leagues. That's why it's bringing it up. I don't think that Colby Parkinson is going to be a superstar by any means, but Tyler Higbee, the Rams' actual starter, who has been productive multiple times throughout his career, not a game-changing guy, but in dynasty, a player that you would have been really glad is on your bench and that in a pinch you can put Tyler Higbee out there, a tight end 8 finish, a tight end 9 finish. And Colby Parkinson didn't play. He was sat down completely to rest with all the other starters for the Rams. Davis Allen was the guy that the dynasty community had wanted to be the guy to take over for Tyler Higbee. So I think it's we mentioned Colby Parkinson briefly on the main podcast, but I want to get Kyle's opinion here. I think that Parkinson is a worthwhile stash in a world where there's a bunch of tight ends that are just floating around on the waiver wire, and it's trying to figure out who could actually make noise for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think he's worth – I mean, the guaranteed money was shocking because there really wasn't a lot of tight ends out there this offseason that you could pay attention to that got money. And so I think it was like 15.5 guaranteed. That whole division, by the way, like nobody in the NFC West spent money on offense. Like other than like CMC coming back, nobody spent money. And he was actually the most guaranteed money of any offensive player in the entire division in free agency. So he's big, 6'7", 265, and in the red zone. I think the hardest thing for me is if a team is throwing the wide receiver as much as they are the Rams, then the tight end position is going to suffer. So I just wonder, is he ever going to be more than in a tight end premium league that you got, 2 for 30 and you got a touchdown? Like that's kind of where I see his ceiling. And so and then eventually Higbee will come back.
Yeah, and it wasn't like Higbee, in a full PPR or a tight end premium, Higbee was valuable, but he was a little bit more valuable before they had both Cooper Kupp and Puka together. So you go, okay, what is Higbee's ceiling if he's out there? And part of his problem is he's not an explosive athlete, right? Higbee is, I think, like a 42nd percentile speed score type of tight end, which is very similar to Colby Parkinson. Colby Parkinson has 29th percentile explosiveness. Davis Allen, on the other hand, is a 96th percentile explosiveness score. So it's like if you don't get a lot of volume, if it turns into not really being a PPR guy, then you got to have the explosiveness. I still lean on the Davis Allen side, but it is probably nobody. Like
probably nobody.
And Colby Parkinson should be rostered because he is the current starting tight end for one of the 32 NFL teams. So I mean he's going to be. There's going to be weeks and rosters where it's like, I got to play Colby Parkinson this week.
I will say, he's heading into year 5. Let me just double check that. Yeah, he's heading into year 5, and since 2014, a player at the tight end position who has finally broken out for the first time ever, like they made it into the top 12 in year 5. There are no players. There are no guys. Yeah. There are a handful of guys that year 4, that was the first time that they ever finally made it out. Including Tyler Higbee.
That's been my biggest knock against Colby Parkinson is like there is no potential, right? Like we've seen him for 4 years. We know what he is. He's a fine NFL tight end. He is not a fantasy producing tight end. And so, yeah, I mean, it would be shocking that he goes to a team with such great wide receivers and then becomes fantasy relevant.
I'll say the
you got that?
No, I'm trying to think how I want to phrase it. I'm in almost complete agreement with you, but I would say one thing that you haven't really seen is he's been stuck in Seattle, and Seattle has been doing strange things with their tight ends. Like Noah Fant at once upon a time was like, this is an up-and-coming tight end who's going to be great for fantasy football.
He was a first-round pick, right?
He was a first-round pick from tight end U. He gave us 2 seasons of being the tight end 12 in Denver, and then he was part of the trade for Russell Wilson up to Seattle, and that dude has done jack squat.
Yeah.
Like the first year he was in Seattle, he averaged 5.7 fantasy points per game. So, and they had Will Disley, and there was weird usage. So that's where it's like, is this an outlier scenario where Seattle has just had all of these guys, so no one could actually do anything?
Yes.
And now maybe if he is more by himself, and there's also just it's a bit of a contingency thing of like Tyler Higbee was at his best when someone's missing from the offense, and he's just, man, Matthew Stafford will feed him the ball. You know, we've had just instances where that's going on, and that's where I'm in play for Parkinson here. Again, it's nasty, but it is nasty boy season.
Yeah, one of the things that you can do is look at your team. Like I'm right now looking at my Dynasty team, and you can do that with the Ultimate Draft Kit, but I'm looking at my tight ends, and there's data where it's like 79% of tight ends break out before age 26. So I can look at Colby Parkinson and go, based on the mounting data, years 6, 7, 8, like it's just I can bet against this, but it is an offense that I want to buy into. So at least I can hold on for that reason.
Yeah, you're looking to make 60% bets.
He's not 26 yet. He's got a couple months, guys.
You're wanting to make bets that are 60% on that side. So if you've got an 80% bet, yeah, push chips in. All right, my next takeaway from preseason, I love this. I'm excited about this. It's Xavier Worthy. He's a starter. He's a starter right off the bat. And
I'm so in.
You're so in?
I'm so in.
Dude, he's good.
I'm so in.
He's a good football. I don't understand this. I know, Kyle, you and I, or you and I think the rest of us on the Dynasty podcast kind of had a little bit more of a disagreement on
Kyle's always thought he was slow.
Right, yeah.
There was a disagreement on, is Xavier Worthy fast? I mean,
turns out
just by the testing that the NFL has sent every major prospect through, he's the fastest, but right. Kyle's still not sure.
Well, he's saying it doesn't show up on film to him, but to most everyone else it does.
Keep going,
we love
Jay.
You, Kyle.
Yeah, keep going.
We love you. Xavier Worthy is I believe, a very talented wide receiver. He doesn't have the best hands in the class, but he's a really good route runner. He's more than just a speed guy. He's not a jet sweep guy that there's a lot of these fast guys, these super track athletes that were good in college and were drafted high in the NFL, and it's just like they don't work because they weren't a good wide receiver. They weren't a good NFL wide receiver. And when I watch Xavier Worthy, I'm like, he's a good route runner. He could take the jet sweeps, but he can go downfield. He can go mid-range. And they used him throughout his collegiate career all over the place. You look at 2021, 28% of his stuff was behind the line of scrimmage. 32% was intermediate. Then you go to his sophomore year, and all of a sudden, almost 40% of his stuff was deep. He can use all three levels of the field, and this is a guy who broke out as a true freshman in, he was awesome, almost 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns as a little bitty baby boy out there. So he has the collegiate production. He has the draft profile. They traded up in the first round to secure him. And then the takeaway from the preseason specifically was that he played 4 of the 6 snaps with the starters. But that first set, it was 11 personnel, and you had Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy. Those are the primary starters. Now, we saw this with Rashee Rice last year, that I do think you're going to see packages. Justin Watson will be involved. Sky Moore will have his packages. I think Kadarius Toney might make the roster. And so I don't necessarily view this as, hey, in a redraft league, you should be taking shots at Xavier Worthy. I'm not opposed to that. By all means, he's like, a last round pick that is, I don't think his ADP is anywhere near that, right? Like he should be like a, I don't know. Someone check. I think he's like got to be in the teens,
all over the place,
depending on which format you are. Why don't you look up the ADP comparison?
Sleeper has him in the 7th. Let me get the comparison.
Wow, is he really that high on Sleeper?
Yeah, he's
okay.
Been up there. I'll go, and then ESPN, he's a 10th. Yahoo's he's back of the 9th.
That's more where I expected him to be, was there. But regardless, this isn't a redraft take. This is I believe he's a starter from day one, and he is a talented wide receiver who now you're going to get off, the beginning of the season. Hollywood Brown's not starting. It's a 4 to 6 week injury just happened. So the first couple weeks of the season, you're not going to have Hollywood out there. And then at any moment, Rashee Rice could be suspended. I don't think that happens this year. But Xavier Worthy is a good football player with the best quarterback of all time, potentially, that is, starting week 1. I love just seeing him out there. And it's kind of like Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison. I want to see them out there and know, oh, yeah, that's a starter. Now, don't do anything. Don't you touch that ball. Don't you even look his way. Do not throw him the ball, because if he were to house one, if he were any one of these first-round type of wide receivers, if Xavier Worthy catches a bomb touchdown in preseason, it's over. His ADP is going to be out of control. Mm-hmm. So I hope it doesn't happen. I want him to do that in the regular season. I think he will do that in the regular season.
Yeah, the preseason, like there's some things to watch for in terms of just performance. Like us watching Javonte, see how is he looking as a player. But in preseason, I'm more looking for snaps. I'm looking for who's with the ones, who's being utilized a certain way. I care far more about that than I do,
or rested, like you said earlier.
Yes,
it's just a matter of what is the team viewing the pecking order of that player, especially rookies.
The Tank Dell? That was the exciting play. It was an awesome throw, great route. He absolutely spun the defender in circles of confusing him and scoring an easy touchdown. That's the exciting play. But I'm looking at Stefon Diggs going, okay, well, I guess he's playing on the outside in 2 wide receiver sets. So production is not everything, but production can be an absolute ADP killer.
Do you feel like, so he was taken at, 104, 105 in rookie drafts and one quarterback. Like, do you feel like this justifies, obviously it's very early, but like a lot of people were deciding between Worthy and Brian Thomas and Keon Coleman, which there's been some good stuff about Brian Thomas. Do you still feel like, hey, I have Worthy ahead in my mind?
For me, I do have a Worthy ahead in my mind. Yes. Okay. I had him. It was really tough. Honestly, that 104 spot was
It was
pretty
a tier
difficult
down
for me. Yeah, I mean, to me, it was really tough between him and personally Ladd McConkey. Those are the two guys where it's like, I think they're both super talented. I love the draft capital of Xavier Worthy, but Ladd's opportunity is so much greater, and they both have great quarterbacks. So either one of those guys, but I would take Xavier Worthy over Keon Coleman, over Brian Thomas Jr., Xavier Legette, all those guys.
I think the last thing I want to say is in this offense, let's say that Travis Kelce's getting 25% of the targets. I don't think that's crazy to but like somewhere in that 20 range. And if we still think Rashee Rice is going to be the number one, is there enough room for a second wide receiver to see enough volume? If that's my only concern in year one.
Probably not.
He's going to have to rely on efficiency and big plays.
Yeah, I mean, who's been the number three, the successful number 3 fantasy producer for Patrick Mahomes? Has there been one? I mean, he's been the quarterback one multiple times, and it's like, has he had that?
Has he
third?
ever had more than two good players on the team, though?
Fair. Maybe that's the issue. When you've got Tyreek and you got Kelce, you're going to get a lot out of them, and he's
because in 2022.
I can give you the names.
Yeah, give me 2022's lineup, because that was the 5,200 yards, 41 passing touchdown year.
So Mahomes got there in 2018. What do you think is the highest fantasy finish for the wide receiver 2? So apart from Kelce, apart from Tyreek or Rashee Rice, who was the best? What was the highest finish?
In 2018 or since 2018?
Since 2018.
Ask me the question. Just the second best producing wide receiver?
Yep.
I'll go Rice.
Yeah, so Rice was good last year.
So was that like wide receiver 18?
So Rice did the best last year, but all the other guys, the best finish was wide receiver 51.
Yeah, it's been terrible.
It's been Watkins, it's been Hardman and Pringle, MVS, Sky Moore, Watson. So it's an issue of talent.
Okay. So you wanted to know, Mike, the 2022?
Uh-huh. Who had what there?
Looking at the list here, it looks like target leaders obviously got Travis Kelce at the top.
Yeah.
Next was Juju Smith-Schuster.
Juju was okay.
Yeah, he was. He had 101 targets, 78 for 933, only 3 touchdowns.
But he was the wide receiver 1. Right?
Wow. Yeah, he was their wide receiver 1.
That's wild.
It was really Jerick McKinnon with 9 receiving touchdowns in the Pacheco.
Yeah.
Let's go, baby.
Yes.
So I just worry because historically you could bet against it, but this also just might be a different offense. Like they're going to.
How was this his depth chart? How was Patrick Mahomes this good?
I don't know, man.
I mean, his depth chart was
5,200 yards.
He had 5,200 yards that year. Am I looking at the right? I am looking at the right year. This is crazy. I mean, this is crazy. His wide receiver 2, his wide receiver 1. His number 1 did not have 1,000 yards. That's impossible to have 5,200 yards and be like, he had Juju Smith-Schuster, an older broken version of him, MVS, McCole Hardman, Justin Watson, Sky Moore. That's wild. That's really wild that he had. So basically, he's spreading the ball out, and this is what I talk about with the packages, where it's like they are going to run all these wide receivers out because they scheme up cool plays, and that group of wide receivers learned that play, and so it's like, okay, put that package in. So yeah, it might be really tough for Xavier Worthy to thrive for fantasy on a consistent basis.
Could be.
But Mike, your question of did he not have the talent, right? Like you think back and it's like, okay, this list of players wasn't that good, but their wide receiver number 1 didn't get 1,000 yards. It might be because their wide receiver number 1 wasn't good. When Tyreek was there, he had plenty of yards.
So 6,000 yards this year?
He's my quarterback 1 in 6-point leagues.
It makes me think that complaint with Aaron Rodgers, like, oh, they never give him enough wide receivers, and Mahomes like, yeah, I don't care. Let's just win Super Bowls with Justin Watson.
The NFL record is 5,477 yards from Peyton Manning, for that's it's all-time single season, and just there's the delightful factoid, boys. This has nothing to do with anything, but I'm looking at single season records. the 10th most yards in a single season. Jameis Winston.
Yeah, baby. Air it out. Well, he had a lot of catching up to do after them interceptions.
It's so delightful. It's Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Brady, Mahomes, Brady, Brees, Ben Roethlisberger. Jameis Winston.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. I was waiting for the name. I was ready for you to just throw out like Blake Bortles.
That's
or
what I was
something.
thinking. This is going to be a Bortles fact. Let me finish this off real quick, and I think it's
Bortles
just,
is 95.
Yeah, 4,400 yards or
Yeah.
something.
okay. It was a fun. He won me a Dynasty championship, by the way. I'll never forget. But this is a reminder for preseason. Just kind of like want to finish everything up. What the internet wants, or what fantasy football Twitter wants, isn't really what always happens. For instance, Kimani Vidal. Sorry,
Oh, Vidal Sassoon.
I know it's
Gone so soon.
and Estime Lauder. They're moving down depth charts.
Marvin Mims was the one I wanted to bring up because it's just
Dude,
sad. He
the
took the
Marvin
first snap of the
Mims
game
one.
and then didn't come back in for 3 more drives.
but he came back in.
Yeah, if he didn't come back in, that's the best news ever. He was out there for the first snap, and then it's
Like
like
shut him down.
shut him down. He's too important. And it's like, oh, we gotta get Marv, what are you doing? Get back in that game.
The Sean Payton quotes on Marvin Mims are out of control. And I mean, we'll go one more. I want to see one more game if they're actually going to reveal anything, if they'll play some more starters. But was this like Tim Patrick is finally back after multiple years of season-ending injury? We got to get this guy out there, get him running so he can, just mentally be like, no, I'm cool. I can play football, which it was awesome. Dude, Tim Patrick finally being back. Fireball Jones gets his first catch in the last, 3 years or whatever. Immediate taunting penalty. What a dog.
Yeah, it shouldn't have even been a taunting penalty.
I know. The defender started it.
The defender is standing right there. All he did was get up and drop the ball like everyone does. He just happened to be an inch from the defender. The defender should have moved.
Yeah, defender, respect the social bubble.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't.
But anyways, back to Mims. That was not great for Sean Payton, who is just giving excuse after excuse after excuse of why Marvin Mims can't get on the field, and with the final one being, well, we had Jerry Jeudy. I can't get Marvin Mims on the field. There's just no way to do it. We have Jerry Jeudy. You traded Jerry Jeudy away, and if this what's going to happen? This is wild.
I do not think they know how to use him. Like I think that like they're
Could
in
be.
meetings last year, 32 targets, and you remember like the beginning of the year he had some monster games. He had that 2 for 113 and 1. Miami, they got boat raced, but he put up 195 receiving yards the first 3 weeks, and then only 166 the rest of the year.
Jerry Jeudy
But Jerry Jeudy, and
was in the way.
it was either deep or short. That was all Russell Wilson did, is like, I'm going to chuck it deep or I'm going to chuck it down. So my final thought on the Broncos offense, you talked about Williams, Javonte. I just, what if this is just a bad team, like a historically bad team?
Sure.
And
Yeah,
what if Troy
and
Franklin never plays football? That's my other thought.
I think that like the real way to project. Oh, that made Jason
That's
so sad.
sad.
The real way to project the Broncos is that way. But Bo Nix puts a pretty decent wrinkle into that of he looked good for a preseason start. Not that we haven't seen quarterbacks look really, really good in the preseason and then NFL real life hits them in the face. But that's the thing is we at this point talking about the Houston Texans, everything would have been like, well, this is going to be one of the worst offenses in the league. Now, maybe C.J. Stroud has just ruined it for everybody else, and they're just going to look bad, and you're going to want to believe every year. But Bo Nix looked okay.
He did.
He's been prepared, right? 60 whatever games he's played.
Yep.
If he's not ready now, he shouldn't be in the league.
That's what I kept saying when people are like, maybe he won't start week 1. I'm like, what are
Why?
you talking? Don't draft him in the first round if he's not ready to start after 60. He literally has started more college games than any human being ever in the history of human beings. If he's not ready, you can't
Is that
spend the first.
true?
Yes.
The most games ever?
Of any quarterback of any
Auburn,
in human
Oregon.
history.
since college football's been around for 150 years.
He
Human
better be
history.
ready.
In the last 5,000 years, no one has started more collegiate games than Bo Nix.
That's going to do it for us on this podcast. Next week, we're talking rookies. We'll talk to you again then.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty Podcast. If you want to take your dynasty skills to the next level, check out thefantasyfootballers.com.